Hey, welcome to a new episode. Today we are in what I call Rotary Paradise here at Panspeed in Saitama. And this is a shop that, I've mentioned many times, at least in my stories on Speed Hunters, that is probably my favorite Rotary shop in Japan. They have such a huge history when it comes to like performance and, building cars for time attack. And it's always been a performance-oriented shop. They've pushed the envelope with Rotary tuning, but mainly with their customer cars. They have an insane amount of cars that they look after here in the area and also outside of Tokyo. And I think they've really hit the nail on the head with the way that they modify their cars. It's not too crazy, it's a really well-rounded off balance. I think I'm going to try and kind of run you through what that means from their perspective today. Starting off with a shop tour and then taking a ride in this demo car here. This is their FD development car, and we'll be able to drive this later on and get an understanding of what their 13B setups are all about. So I think we should probably take a look at the front of the shop first, and we'll start off over here where they have a nice FC parked outside in the signature yellow that Panspeed has been using for so many years. Their FD wide body time attack car is actually inside. We'll take a look at that later on. Over here is the RX8 development car. Again, they're working on the RX8 platform too, and kind of evolving the NA side of the Rotary tuning. And there's a couple of customer cars here that are being worked on, starting with this slightly wide-bodied FC, so riveted on over fenders front and back, kind of giving a new shape to the fenders. Lots of cool parts hanging around, ZE40s on Volks. Headlight conversion. And a really nice FD here on Meisters. As you can see, when I mentioned, they don't really go that crazy when it comes to engine setups. You won't find, chromed up bits and massive turbo conversions. They are very conservative, kind of focusing on the total balance. And over here is part of their little machine shop area. But the thing that I always like seeing at Panspeed is the lineup of Rotary parts, starting with the actual rotors and the housings. There's so many of them scattered around, all ready to be used in future builds, and some of them probably not possible to be reused because of course, wear and tear. But we'll go into the engine room next and check out if they're building something at the moment. Yeah, it's insane. And you can see how they're actually organized by 12A and different types of porting. And this is actually where their engines are put together. It's a functional workshop. This is a place where work gets done. It's well used, and again, all the bits, all the pieces to the Rotary engine puzzle. Right here on this table you can see quite a lot of eccentric shafts. So this is where they get checked for wear and I guess balance before being assembled in a 13B or a 12A or a 20B. A nice lineup of rotors here. So a ton more rotors here. Well-used ones. You see all the carbon deposits and some of the cleaned up ones. Of course, none of them actually fitted with the apex seals. And of course, the apex seal thing is actually the secret to building engines. Here's one right there. So the secret into refining these engines and kind of making them reliable and performance proof is just getting that balance right, and the materials and A lot of rotary shops here in Japan have their own kind of recipe to how that usually should look like. Another really cool car is this customer-owned, pretty much replica of their FD demo car. So the yellow one we saw inside the shop, this is pretty much running the same setup with a sequential transmission, 500 or so horsepower, kind of built for time attack and very fast road driving. You can see the pretty much most advanced setup that Panspeed would build with a V-mounted intercooler radiator setup. They have the custom or their intake elbow there that feeds the stock intake manifold, and then down to the intercooler. Running, I guess, a variety of turbos. It depends on the setup, what the customer wants. They were using GCGs for a while, and I've experimented with pretty much any and every turbo setup. You can see all the housings, the side housings with all the different type of ports. So this is where the magic happens. I guess the shape and the actual design of those ports is what gives the rotary engine its character. Kind of like changing cams on a conventional piston engine, you know, cams and maybe doing some head work. So we're actually going to see Sato-san from Panspeed, the technician that builds all the engines here, actually fit some seals on this rotor. So we have Sato-san here. So these are the apex seals and these are the side seals. So they get grinded on the edges and then refined with the, I guess, the more refining stone, and then the clearances are checked. And then you have an RX7 rotor ready to go. Okay, so I asked if they had any peripheral ported engines to show us. Unfortunately, they don't in the actual engine room, but there's a customer car that's peripherally ported, and we're going to hear it now. In case you didn't know, that is the most extreme porting that you can do to a rotary, and basically it can be applied either to NA or turbo setups, and it creates crazy overlap, and it's what you need to do to get the most power out of any rotary engine. So this FD runs a peripherally ported engine with a massive HKS turbo, and that's a T67 maybe. It's bolt. It's starting already. Ba, 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 ba. You You can hear how quickly the turbo spools up. And over here we have the Dyno built into the back of the shop, and they run a Dyno pack setup, so hub Dyno. They even have rollers here, but I guess they upgraded to the Dyno pack a while back. And it's all sound insulated, and of course when they actually do the power checks they can close the door so they don't disturb the neighbors, and all the exhaust gases get funneled outward. So I think luckily we actually get to see, graphically what pan speed tune Rotary looks like. This one has been tuned to about 383 newton meters of torque, 311 horsepower. So nothing crazy, but very responsive. A very strong mid-range. So you definitely need to kind of stay above the 4,000 RPM mark to get all that power, and it starts trailering off, around 7,000. It's still in the process of getting finalized, so they're actually going to up the boost and increase power. So we'll find out from Sato-san what they're kind of shooting for with this one. Okay, so this FD is actually stock engine, stock everything, stock turbos. It just has very simple bolt-on mods like a K&N filter setup and some piping for the stock intercooler. And what we have here is about 311 PS of the hubs, which equates to about 330-40 at the wheel. So a good representation of what pan speed tuning is all about. Peak torque is 383 Newton meters, so a very decent kind of hit of torque in the mid-range as long as you keep it between 4 and 7. So we're actually going to do a quick pull on this FD. So again, like I mentioned, boost up tuning. There you go, up to 7,500 RPM. Felt that in my chest. And there's the power curve. So like I mentioned, Panspeed have thrown us the keys to this, I guess, street tune development car. And I'm a bit sad to say I don't know if I can fit. I had a look at the seat. It's pretty aggressive when it comes to side bolsters, so I'm going to attempt to get in. It's not going to be pretty. Yeah, this is not happening. I can't get my leg in there. Nope. Nope. This is what I'm plagued with. Childbearing hips in Japan, in JDM seats. Alright, Alec is going to attempt this now. Because if he gets to fit... Oh, what?
We're good.
Are you serious?
Perfect.
Well, I guess you're driving.
My lucky day.
Well, I really want to experience a Panspeed Tune FD again, so even though I can't drive, I'll have to film from the passenger side now, I guess. So basically it's set up in the same way of the car we just saw on the Dyno, so about 330, 340 horsepower, but it has a lot of Panspeed developed parts, and basically we're there to kind of feel that, I guess, sharpness in the handling and the response thanks to the Link ECU. So Alec is going to get to enjoy that. I'll be in the passenger side.
Alright, so it's my second time driving a Rotary, or maybe third, but it's my real first go actually like being able to stretch a Rotary's legs and see what it's all about. And I have to say it's a pretty good way to start.
Already things that I noticed, rock solid idle.
All right,
That's insane.
that's how you get deported.
For 330 horsepower, that pulls way too fast.
That was just dumb.
That's like a little bit of wheel spin in third as well. Okay, we do have very cold tires, so that's expected, but oh my god, that mid-range just kicks. Jesus.
Yeah, this is good.
It's just a punch, 4,000 and up. There you go, 4,000.
Yeah, that's quick.
It's so responsive, it just kicks instantly. But yeah, I mean, this kind of, I just experienced a very highly modified FD in Malaysia, in KK. And I think I jumped a bit too much into rotary tuning in that I don't really understand what a stockish 13B feels like when it's modified like this, and that was surprising.
Yeah.
It's basically exactly the same character of the car I tried with the Bridgeport, except that kicked way harder, but I guess it's the same response. Still spins a second. I think this really summarizes why we need to build a rotary for the channel. As soon as the opportunity materializes itself, and I know just the shop to do that for us. Okay, we'll have to ask Sato-san when we go back. I'm just curious to see if this is actually a stock turbo setup. He said it's pretty much like the car in the Dyno, but I think maybe they modified the twin turbo setup with different bearings or a redesigned housing or something, because that just pulls way too hard for a stock setup, I think. Well, there you have it. Don't underestimate FDs. They're absolutely weapons, even with a stock setup just done well, and pan speed. Obviously know how to do that. All right, so it's time to check out the shop and indulge in some FD perfection here with their Time Attack FD build, which they keep here in display in the main shop area. And I recall shooting the progression of this car, back in the day when I was shooting for magazines and then later on Speed Hunters, basically seeing this car evolve year after year and participating in the Rev Speed Super Battle at Tsukuba, and of course all the other Time Attack events that magazines like Option used to organize. I forget now the actual time they got at Tsukuba. I think it's a 54. They never really took, the bigger leap when it came to aero, which is what a lot of other shops did, like Revolution, going full on crazy with aero setups and, designing their own wings and, front lip spoilers. They kind of stayed in this middle category, I guess, where the aero wasn't too extreme, but again, enough to get insane mid 50-second lap times at Tsukuba. Okay, so we've opened up the bonnet and we can kind of have a look at the setup here. Again, all geared towards performance. This is as functional as it gets, starting off with how the turbo is fed through the bumper. Runs a TO4Z from HKS. So at 1.4 bar of boost, 540 horsepower. So the fastest this car managed at Tsukuba is actually 55.6. And like I mentioned, they never really took it one step further with the whole aero package or the aero craze that's kind of progressed the Time Attack into what Time Attack is today in 2023. They kind of left it there, and I think 55 seconds is a pretty impressive time at Tsukuba nonetheless. So they achieved that through mechanical tuning, mechanical grip, and you know, a very basic kind of aero setup. Like I mentioned, there is a big wing at the back and their custom designed aero kit, which you can actually run on the road. There's a bunch of customers that run this aero kit on the street. All right, and inside things get a little bit more interesting because, as you can tell, it's all stitch welded. There's a welded in roll cage. It kind of resembles more of something like a GT 300 Super GT car than a time attack car. So this car actually runs a sequential transmission. You can tell how the transmission tunnel was rebuilt around that, and an extended steering column here so that the driver can sit more in line with the B-pillar and this gusseting here on the cage. And over here in the center we have a nice switch panel where everything is being located to, and that's pretty much it. Very simple setup. They try to keep the weight as balanced as possible. Is the tiny little Motec on the steering wheel, so this runs a Motec ECU setup. And another cool detail, of course, is the carbon fiber construction here, the door, which makes it very light and very scary to close. So I'm not even going to attempt that. I'll just put it here and let these guys do that later on. But yeah, really nice to see this car again. It would be awesome to see Panspeed take it out, you know, at some Rotary event again. Actually, I have to ask Komoriya-san once he gets here if there's any plan to do that in the future, because it just brings back so many memories seeing this car, and I would love to kind of hear it again in action. Okay, so that brings this Panspeed shop tour to a close. I really hope you enjoyed seeing another great legendary shop here in Japan. You know, a shop that has defined the JDM scene in so many ways. I mean, they've stayed true to their calling, you could say, and just concentrated on functional builds. You know, they never really were too involved in drifting. They never really did drag. They just stuck to creating the fastest possible track cars, and with the know-how that they kind of drew from their track work, brought that right back to their customers. And, you know, being able to build cars like this, which, you know, really take that Rotary base, you know, what the RX7 means, very lightweight chassis, very balanced handling, and just kind of up it up a notch. So I think they specialize in what you could call OEM++, but with a roar feel. I mean, there's not much, you know, attention being put into refining the cockpit. It's all like raw driving. If you're into, you know, taking your car up on a hill or a mountain pass here in Japan, or doing a lot of track work, Panspeed is a shop for you. And with that, you know, I have to thank Komoriya-san for allowing me full access to his shop, and Sato-san for showing me the engine room where he builds the engines, and even allowing us to take out the FD here for a little squirt down the road here in Saitama. And you know, I really appreciate you guys checking back here on the channel to check out these shop tours and all the content that we come up with from Japan. Again, you know, all your support is very much appreciated. It really helps out if you do press that subscribe button. And don't forget that there's a lot more content on Patreon. And again, many thanks to the people that support me on that platform too. So thanks again. And with that, check back soon for more.